welcome to the talk about Phoenix. I'm very, very honored and I'm very thankful to the Goethe-Institut, especially to Jutta, who is responsible for a film that I have the possibility to run this little talk, adoring the work of Christian Petzold for many, many, many years. I remember one of his second film, I believe, The State I'm In, really shook me. Innere Sicherheit in German was an outstanding piece of art, and I'm sure you followed his films outside. We have the poster of Barbara, and from a certain moment on he started to work with Nina and I think it's like one of those congenial collaborations. You guys did many movies together. I think it's allowed to say that you're kind of his muse, that he is really, working very, very closely with you. So let me start by maybe just asking Christian, how did you find the topic? How did you find the sujet? Because you're not only the director, you're also the scriptwriter. You wrote it with Harun Farocki together, a very admired and unfortunately passed away documentary, especially a filmmaker, and you collaborated already a couple of times on the last scripts together. And this script is actually based on a book. And my French is very bad. Le Retour d'Arcades.
I understand your question. This is the thing for me. Harun was a writer and editor for a magazine in the 70s and the beginning of the 80s. One of the most important magazines for me as an adolescent. When I was living in a little suburb, and the revolution was failed, my personal revolution and also the revolution told this morning. And there was this magazine Film Critic, and there was an issue about the movie Vertigo by Alfred Hitchcock. You can't see that movie in this time because Hitchcock has taken 5 of his movies as for times when he need money, so there's no copy. And then I read this. I read all the magazines. In particular, there was a little essay by Harun Farocki inside of this article about muses. I must say a little bit like this about men who create women. Yeah? And this is like Pygmalion, or also the subject in Vertigo. And this was a fantastic little essay, and in this essay there was this book by we are French is now infected me. Yeah, and Der Asche entstiegen was the German title, Out of the Ashes or so was the French title, I think. And the plot of Phoenix is based on this book. And when I met Harun Farocki 5 years later, and we start our collaboration, we always talk about this book and how impossible it is to realize it in Germany because the combination of Pygmalion and Auschwitz, I think you can do this in Paris, where it was a bourgeoisie, and which is not totally destroyed by the Nazis. And so, but after we have made Barbara, Harun said to me, now you have a love couple, and you can lead them into this basement of the torture.
Now you have a love couple, now you can lead them.
So as at 6 o'clock we're gonna have the world premiere here. I don't want to talk too much about the content of the film you're gonna see, but Nina, let me title my question Reconstructing Nelly. Without telling too much, just maybe you can give us an insight how you prepared for a role where you actually play a person who is constructing yourself, so you're pretending to be, or you are asked to pretend to be yourself in a time where we know, Christian, you also mentioned in a couple of interviews that many Holocaust survivors who were in the post-war Germany, a prison was considered ghosts by many people because they really lost in a way their place in society. They really needed to replace themselves, reinvent themselves. So with so many aspects in your role, just how did you start? How did you prepare?
Well, like when you try to explain it, it sounds very complicated, and that's what it was. So my main task was to make it simple and to simplify it for myself, to be able to act step by step, you know, and not always having the feeling I have to play everything at the same moment and at the same time. So that was, and that is only possible the more I understand about the character. So what I try to do is that I informed myself very well. I read a lot about trauma because I couldn't really find a lot about historical witnesses right after leaving Auschwitz. It was always like 30 years later or 40 years later. So that's when, and you can guess by watching them how they talk about it. I can feel something, you know, I can imagine how it must have been, but this state of, like what you said, of being a ghost, being nothing, having no identity, no feeling for yourself, not as a woman or a human being, just being, having lived like an animal for a certain amount of time. What does that do to a person? And then, so that's how I started, so that I know what I could build on. So that was the beginning of the work. So not spoil too much.
Yeah, no spoilers here. So you collaborate, as I mentioned already, on a couple of movies with Christian. So it's interesting that you mentioned Hitchcock news. We all know his obsession for blonde, beautiful women, Kim Novak, and all the others. Jennifer Lee, he said if you wouldn't like be a director,
this was also a big problem during the shooting. That after 10 or 11 days of shooting, I thought that what the Ronald Zehrfeld or Johnny made with her, it's not so far away from my work in the basement of torture.
But probably this torture is only...
No spoiler.
I object.
It was pure fun. But probably this kind of in-depth relationship and character development was only possible because you have this collaboration experience, because probably, Nina, you trust Christian a lot, right? I mean, you know him many years, you trust him as a friend, but you also trust him artistically, right? So you probably feel very open to, let's say, to be able to fall into his directorial hands.
Yes, in general, yes, but but this time it was really something where I had the feeling we all have to find what we want to tell and how we want to tell it. So it was not so much falling, letting go of something, it was more intense in a way, also in the way of getting to where we wanted to be, you know, all together. Because the topic was so intense also, I think. So, yeah.
I think that you have the chance to fall in something in this subject. To fall in love, it's okay, but they both are fallen out of the society. So we can fall into a story or
So talking about creating, you have a great creative team behind this film noir. Your producer, Florian Köln-Gustav is here, Sham Film, maybe a little applause for the producer. It's always very important that they stand behind the movies. But you have a great DOP, Hans Fromm, which you work already quite some time. We know film noirs, we all know the great films from the 40s done in Hollywood, many of them done by Jewish German immigrants. Film noir is usually black and white, you're in color, but the great thing about the film, you decided actually to shoot on film. So please tell us something about the artistic visual collaboration.
This is the English now, okay.
I can help it, you can say something in German.
No, we have seen many film noirs. They are black and white, you're right. but we have also seen many films by Douglas Sirk. They are Technicolor, and I think it's not so far away, the black and white and the Technicolor, because both are not they are not in this. They're not trying to make a reality impression. They build up something and make it a little bit more abstract. And so this was the one side of our thinking. The other is we want to make it totally natural. So we have so many photos of Berlin 45, and we know that the summer was very hot, and I have the memories of my father who said this was the best summer of his life, because there was no police, no teacher, and the whole city was like a place for children where they can play. You can find many things, also horrible things, dead bodies of dead SS soldiers in the river, but they take them out and take the things out of the pockets of this SS men. But on the other side, we have this movie by Roberto Rossellini, Germany.
Anno Zero.
I tried. It's in English now. Yeah. And there my father loved this movie because you can see 30 minutes the freedom. Yes, he remembered. But on the other hand, you see that the old fascists are between the ruins, and there is no Stunde Null, new beginning. And so this was, I think, the balance we have to have. We have fantastic nature with new light and fantastic sun, and on the other hand, we have all the old ghosts, not the ghosts of not her, but the old ghosts from the past of the 12 years. They sit behind the trees. I'm so tired, I'm sorry. I don't want to see this video thing.
You're doing great.
Well, my
right,
daughter is perfect in English. When she sees that, she will change her family name.
Besides Hans Fromm, another long-time collaborator, and you know I'm very much into this topic of editing, of montage, is Bettina Wöhler. Your films have a very specific rhythm, which I think makes them also function so well and gets us as an audience so involved, because you're really a side group for a very specific style. There's often this saying, which we also like a lot, that a film is born in the editing. Especially you wrote the script. First phase, let's say, of a movie, then you have the shooting. Second phase, and then you have the third one, where basically also your editor tells you maybe sometimes kill your darlings. There's a great scene, you tortured Nina for 25 hours, like 40 takes, and then she just says, no, it goes out. Tell us a little bit of the secrets of the editing.
No, I think since 7-8 years we are working. We know that Bettina's editing later, and so our work has totally changed. And there is no, we don't shoot any things we cut out later. No. In this in Phoenix, there are two scenes we cut out. No? Because in the moment when what Nina said, it's very complicated. We have to make it simple, but we don't know it during the shooting what is happening with the scene. I don't know. I haven't got the sense for the economic. Like the film Barbara, I know each day what I have to do. But in this film, I know we have to do this, but perhaps we don't need it. It's the first time it happened to me. And so we threw out very long scenes. For example, this scene where you have to write a letter to yourself. And this was a long scene. We shot it the whole day, but didn't find it. Bettina threw it out. She said, we don't need it. This was a little bit this kill your darling thing, because it costs us so much time and so much money. It's hard to cut it out. But she's in a moral way also intelligent, Bettina. She asks herself, and we both together, why why is the position of the camera there, and what we have to edit after this sequence. Who's telling the scene? From which side? Because she's in the first 15 minutes. She has no face, no body, and no individuality. Yeah? And so what we are telling from her position, like in this movie Dark Passage, for example, by Delmer Daves, you see that Humphrey Bogart, he doesn't have a face, but it's from his position through this Verband.
Bandages.
Yeah. We can't do that because we didn't have her. Yeah? So these are questions of morality, and editing has something to do with morality, not only techniques and kill your darlings.
Morality, that's nice. Unfortunately, to keep my moral high, I have to come to the end because you guys have to run to the world premiere. So last question, we're gonna see the movie. It's considered thriller, it's usually considered drama. I'm just very interested because there's this huge discussion, how can you treat something as horrible as the Second World War, as Holocaust. Voltaire, Candide, there's this idea that you can only go through comedy. Were there ever thoughts maybe to go more into comic relief way? I'm not gonna mention to be or not to be, but just like, well, how were you going also as a German filmmaker with the responsibility of being German and treating the topic?
You can't make a picture of Auschwitz. What I'm interested in was, was kann das sagen? Ich kriege die englische Worte jetzt nicht hin. Mich interessiert so am Kino immer nur das, was übrig bleibt. Ja? Nicht das Ereignis selber, sondern das Nachbeben, dieses Nachbeben davon.
Basically, I'm very interested in doing cinema and what stays, not in the actual event, but what this event, let's say, leaves.
When you see an American family in an American movie, in good movies, you see something that had happened 2 or 3 years ago, yeah? And you see this family, it looks in the first moment, this family looks fantastic, harmonic, and so, but you feel that something's working in the fundament, yeah? And this, I think, is cinema. And for me also, I'm not filming Auschwitz, we are working on what happened to a society, yeah? What happened to love, what happened to loyalty, solidarity. Yeah? This is the question. I don't like filmmakers who are going to the shower, yeah? To the gas chambers. Try to make this. I don't like that.
So thank you so much again, Nina Hoss, Christian Petzold. Thanks for joining us here at the Goethe-Institut. I know you are excited, you're tired in 45 minutes. It's a world premiere, so we give you a lot of energy. Give a big thank you, applause for Nina.